everyone, and welcome to the Smart Education webinar at Mandalita School. Again, they're doing it for the sixth time, I think, this year. Congratulations, Mandalitas, on always being a leader in education transformation. Today, I wanted to talk to you about seeing with new eyes. We have a tendency in education to add more. Another curriculum, another program, another tool, another survey. What if instead of doing more, we just do things differently? I want you to look at everything at your school with just a set of new eyes. What if we start looking really hard at all of the assumptions that we inherited about what education should look like, that guide us today in how we operate? And just do things differently and ask ourselves, is there a different way? Is there a better way? The definition of transformation, you see it here. And if you notice, there is an aspect of conversion from one form to another. Transformation is not change. Adding, subtracting is a change. But transformation implies a change from one form to another. It's like a total conversion. So let's just stay with this whole idea of a real transformation, a true conversion of form. And just imagine what would happen if we transform, for example, the way we view students in education. We typically today see them as subjects and receivers of the education process. We must do things to them, for them. But what if we change that around and say, why are we assuming that kids can't take ownership of their life? Why are we assuming that we need to constantly do things for them? What if we empower them to take the lead or share the lead? What if we start from a belief that students are capable of tracking and managing their own progress? What if students have access to their own progress in areas of improvement? Things like how they're doing on assignment submission. Things about how well they've been feeling and their own well-being trends. What if they have their own dashboards where they can see this on a daily basis, change and transform, and tell them how they're improving day after day and what are areas they should pay closer attention to? What if they can then look at their own grades, their own skills acquisition? These are all the skills, these are all the competencies you need to be an active participant in society. Well, then show me as a student, where am I on each one of these skills? How well am I doing in developing them? Today in education, we hold all the cards at schools. We're the ones seeing the grade book with every student's grade. Students don't even know their grades till later. But they don't have this full view of all of their needs. We only show them those metrics at certain times throughout the year to students and parents, sometimes when it's actually too late to do anything about these metrics to improve them or these grades to improve them. What would that change in terms of the education experience for students, you think? Would teachers feel like a weight lifted off their shoulders because now students have an idea about what they need to do to improve? And they can see it and they can act on it. Teachers now won't have to do everything alone anymore. Do you think students with that would be less or more motivated to work on their areas of need? What if we also provided to the same student how their peers are doing? friendly, not really competition, but just to let them know what's possible. You could try to, push a little bit. Or maybe this is a hard subject on everyone. It's also a great view that could help a student just understand exactly how well they're performing. Perhaps another thing that could really help them as well is if the system then using all of this information could then help them understand what are the different skills that they're acquiring today and compared to their goals. So for example, here, Sarah has an interest in psychology. That's the field she wants to pursue when she graduates. This system could then tell her that she is doing really good, she's on track, that she needs to work maybe on some problem solving, some numeracy skills, and then she has an easy path to catch up and get back on track for her goal. And tools can also suggest to each student how they can best hone the skills that they need to hit their own individual goals. So we saw before that she needed to work a little bit on problem solving, on numeracy. Well, then how? Well, how about some suggestions and resources that the student, in this case, Sarah, could actually work on that? And it's not just students. What if we started looking at teachers a little differently too? What if teachers' whole experience with the classroom is not one that is distant, but one that is really well informed about each student and what they're dealing with sitting there in the classroom? What if when a teacher just walks into a room, they can then see what each student needs social, emotionally, and academically each day? Get these alerts and information about students, some that have some well-being issues that a teacher should take into consideration. And it's the teacher then gets an alert. Look, Sarah, Michelle, and Ben, they all need your attention. Would you like to check on them? See what can be done. And the teacher could then chooses to look at Sarah and see what is going on. Ooh, looks like she's been absent. She dropped out of her soccer team. Her counselor had some referrals. Clearly, there's something going on with Sarah. But now that there is this 360 view that shows what is going on with Sarah all across aspects of the school and her education, John, the teacher, now has a better understanding of what she needs. I spent long hours when I was the director of academic innovation in my school. Long hours in what we called student council. These meetings bring all teachers, principals, counselors, specialists together where we talk about each and every student facing challenges. We compare notes, we agree on the best course of action to support each student. We did that twice a year. Can you imagine the amount of time spent by hundreds of people in one room talking about each student at a time? What if much of that information is made visible to everyone on a daily basis versus just the twice a year, just gruesome exercise that we used to partake in? What if we're able to act faster to resolve issues as well? John, our teacher here, reviews the insights about Sarah's learning, where her skills are, and then her progress in things, with this 360 view, I think I know truly what's going on and what I could possibly do in terms of interventions. So the system is actually generating interventions, recommendations based on what worked and what didn't work in the past. And then these recommendations are presented to John, and he's now able to pick one that will help Sarah the most. He thinks that maybe if he changes her workload, then she won't be as stressed and she'll be able to keep up again and reduce her behavior issues again. So now he's thinking, okay, what if I change her workload? And now I'm going to need to. So he's taken this recommendation, this recommended workload. Now he's thinking, now I need to notify others as well. Could be the parents, could be just the other teachers, just so everybody is on the same page. Everybody impacting the same student is on the same page. So he decides to update the parents as well. The suggestion now has been accepted, and he can move on to the next student and see what is going on with the next student. All of this is happening really quickly versus a tremendous amount of time and effort and coordination that needs to happen otherwise. He then sees that also Ben has been struggling in his class, but he's doing really well in all the other classes. There must be something then he can do to engage Ben. So John decides, I'm going to schedule a call with my colleagues to discuss. And what if we could shift from seeing teachers as conduits to students who need to be told what to do and trained on what's next, to seeing them as talented innovators whom, once empowered and given the opportunity and the different tools, they will help steer and define the future of education. What if? What if our teacher John and all the other teachers, when they sit down to do some lesson planning, they see some alerts about what training could really help them right there in the same tools and systems that they're using? They then go and see, here is my development plan, here are my goals, and here are some of the recommended training, and they can add any training to their development plan and learning path. At a glance, they can see how they're doing against the goals that they've set for themselves professionally. And they're able to then look at the progress they're making across different skills and access lots of resources and training that would help them improve these skills. Supporting lifelong learning among teachers, just like we're trying to build it with students, giving teachers this progress view could really help them meet and exceed their goals. Well, and what about system leaders? What about if you're looking after multiple schools, after multiple teachers and school leaders in your schools? How can we rethink things, especially in this current climate of teacher and talent shortage? Or what if system leaders looking after multiple schools can view teacher expertise across the different regions and then say, okay, I see gaps in certain areas. How am I going to close these gaps? I want to ensure there is equity across the different schools in my system. I want to make sure that all my schools can get access to quality, effective teachers. There could be some training that some of the staff needs as you look at the skills that everybody in the organization has. So there might be some recommendations about what might be a good training that the system leader could then recommend. The system could also scan any open leadership vacancies and look at all of the different people within the organization and their skill set and recommend people to step up and take that leadership position. The people that are really close, they might be missing a competency or two. Maybe then the system could recommend some of these courses or training that would support them so that next time around they're able to apply and get some of these leadership positions. Hence, creating a path for teacher, for growth, for motivation, for them to continue to do better and grow. Look, to transform education, you need to innovate every day, continue to challenge the status quo every day. Everything cannot be taken for granted. The way we do things is not necessarily the best way we do things. It's just the way we've always done them. Until somebody asks the question, is this the best way? Challenge the status quo. The research shows that innovative organizations need innovative leaders. So as a leader, you hold the key to how much everyone in your organization can innovate. And I've been reading the Innovators DNA book recently. They have analyzed, the authors of the book, they've analyzed so many different organizations and so many different leaders across a lot of different industries. And they've distilled it down to 5 key skills for an innovator. All of these skills could be cultivated and nurtured. We're not born with them. Observation, observing, asking questions about what's going on around us. Does it have to be this way? Is this the best way? Why are we doing things this way? Get into the why of things could really give us ideas about how else can we do them. Network, talk to other people. It would give you ideas and would inspire a lot of different changes. And then create association between ideas that might not seem related at first. And look for answers, maybe in a different field than education. Sometimes when we look within the same circle, we get the same answers. It's like an echo chamber. But when you start looking outside for who else might have encountered a similar problem, then you might come up with creative solutions. And then the most important piece, experimenting. Experimenting to keep honing on what works and what doesn't. And sometimes things work in a certain setting, but not in another school, for example. So experiment to keep honing what works best for your own school. Cultivate these 5 skills in you and in everyone in your organization. Encourage people asking questions. Encourage people taking risks and challenging the status quo. Encourage people to observe and see other things and get inspired by other things. I'm just going to leave you with this. You change your perspective, you can change the world. It's about seeing with new eyes. It's not about adding more things. It's not about doing more. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time today. I really enjoyed being with you. I hope that you found this helpful, that there's something you can take back to your school. And I look forward to coming back again to one of these Smart Education webinars by Mendeley School next year. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the webinar.
Ευχαριστούμε πολύ την κυρία Ghobashy. Ανανεώνουμε λοιπόν το ραντεβού μας για το 2023 και την 7η Smart Education. Η αλήθεια είναι ότι η κυρία Ghobashy είναι πάντα κοντά μας και είναι πολύτιμη πάντα η παρουσία της, γιατί οι παρουσιάσεις της έχουν πολύ μεγάλο ενδιαφέρον και κάνουν νομίζω πιο εύκολη αυτή τη μετάβαση στον ψηφιακό κόσμο για όλους μας.